Oh my goodness, we're gonna have to talk about this. Spider-Man, the new animated series, or as what many people know it as, MTV Spider-Man, came out in 2003, and it looked like it was supposed to take place somewhere after the first Spider-Man movie. And then the more and more you watch it, the more you're like, no, that's not the case. So the show kicks off Peter Parker, voiced by Neil Patrick Harris, of all people. Now, around this time, they were really pushing hard for Neil Patrick Harris to be a star. He even played himself in the Harold and Kumar franchise. We all knew him as Doogie Howser. But his real standout role was How I Met Your Mother, which is my favorite sitcom of all time. And it had just a plethora of great moments involving Neil Patrick Harris. This is not one of them. I'm going right off the bat to tell you that I do not like this show. I think it's kind of bad. I think as a kid I remember watching it and enjoying it, but the animation was just ugly. It was just not good. And I to this day don't get why people really like it. I get it, it was kind of cool to see this type of um computerized animation, but it just didn't work right. I will give it this. It does have a lot of strong possibilities of making it an excellent show, and maybe it could have evolved into something even bigger if it continued, but it just never lived up to my expectations. I actually used to watch the show a lot in Spanish, so I couldn't tell how bad the voice acting was. There's a scene in particular that stands out to me, and it is actually somewhere in the beginning of the show where Spider-Man is like holding two things with his webs, and he's like, "This is so not spandex." There's a scene where MJ dies, and the animation or the voice was just terrible. Like Neil Patrick just didn't even try. He just goes no, but like it wasn't like a no or something like that. Like it, you just didn't feel it. It was just half-assed to the T. Now, I do like the aspect of making the show college based because MTV was very heavily focusing on pop teenagers. Like even Harry and MJ's design fits the category of 2003 teenagers. There's no Aunt May in this show. J. Jonah Jameson does cameos from here and there, but they really only focus on the chemistry between Mary Jane, Harry Osborn, and Peter Parker. And they do a solid job. The three of them clearly have chemistry. The voices are Ian Ziering. I've never seen this guy before in my life. And Lisa Loeb. It seems like they really focus more on the side characters to make them very popular actors. I mean, listen to this. Jeremy Piven, Jane Lynch, Rob Zombie, Clancy Brown, Keith David, Devon Sawa, even Michael Clark Duncan reprises his role as the Kingpin. But for me, what is it about this show I don't like? Well, for starters, since it was MTV based, the demographic was really heavily pushed on MTV-esque type of things, if I'm being quite honest. And then to top it off, there's even a scene where a woman is stealing an MTV popcorn trophy in one of the episodes. Because of a lot of copyright reasons, they couldn't really get all of the core Spider-Man supervillain characters, and therefore they had to kind of like create their own villains. There was a guy that was clearly supposed to be Mysterio, even though it really wasn't. The only one they really got was Electro, who actually was a college student in the show. Lizard was there. He was cool. I will give it this. The opening intro was actually cool with the song and everything. That I didn't really hate that much. But for me, my biggest problem with this show is that it's kind of trying to connect to the first Spider-Man movie. They even have already established that Spider-Man had killed um, Norman Osborn, aka the Green Goblin, and Harry already hates Spider-Man. He already sees him as a menace. So that could have been cool if they tried to do something like that. Obviously, they made it uncanon afterwards, because then they kind of like go balls to the walls and just do whatever they want. They even have an obsessed fan in one of the episodes, a woman that's like just so obsessed with Spider-Man that she just wants him. I don't know what is it about her. I guess she was horny and stuff. That's another thing. They actually have a side character who ends up being Peter Parker's love interest, since him and MJ don't end up together. Also, it also makes no sense, but I guess in this world, Craven and Spider-Man already know each other, which is kind of weird because we never have established that relationship with the two. And then the final two episodes has to do with some twins that have like these powers that they can actually control and manipulate how Spider-Man sees things. But I wasn't too high on the story. It was kind of cool, like people playing mind tricks on Spider-Man only for him to just realize what he is doing wrong. And unfortunately, this does lead to him love interest. I'm sorry I didn't bother remembering her name. And then eventually everybody winds up hating Spider-Man. And the show ends with Peter Parker throwing a briefcase of Spider-Man's suit into the ocean. And I guess they were supposed to continue on, but MTV and Spider-Man don't go good together now, do they? Around this time, Jackass was popular. MTV, for those of you who do not know, the M stands for music. MTV was just moving on to other things around this time that Spider-Man was very irrelevant. It just didn't fit the right category, and it just like, I don't know what is it about it. Like for me, I guess just the computer animation just looks ugly. They tried at the time. Everything was supposed to be digitalized. DreamWorks and Pixar were having box office hits around this time. So naturally, everybody else wanted to try it, but it just doesn't work here. You needed like legit experts at this, and that's maybe another reason why the show never got renewed, because it's really hard to really make this under a certain budget. I'm giving the show a D. It did try in some moments, so it doesn't get a F, but it's just very forced, and it just very much looked like MTV had all its fingerprints on it, and it could have evolved into something greater, but it's very clear that they just had it just for the small little bit of cash that MTV could have gotten, so can't really say anything positive about that. I'm ready to move on to what's next. Of course, why not just cap off the Tobey Maguire trilogy with Spider-Man 3? I'll see you all tomorrow for that review.